Hello, everybody. Hey, meditators, friends. Welcome back to another guided meditation today. Before we start, let me just check that everything is working correctly. Please do let me know if the sound and image is okay. And I should have ironed my shirt. I say this every week. Okay. So, the sound looks good on my side. Just please let me know if the sound is okay on your side. And I'm going to start to introduce the meditation a little bit, because we're going to do a meditation that is a little bit unusual to what we normally do. Let's just give our time to settle in, to sit down somewhere that is nice and comfortable. Awesome. For these meditations, you're welcome to sit on the floor, on a meditation pillow, on a yoga block, or simply on a chair. If you are sitting on a chair, then just put your feet flat on the ground. And let's have a look at the chat. Just 1 second before we start. Matthew is here. All good. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Good morning, Altamontry Records 1. You're very welcome for this meditations. It's my pleasure. Hello, Jamil. Everything is tip-top. Fantastic. Great. So in that case, we can start. And as I said, today is not going to be one of the meditations that we usually do with transcendence. I've been really studying a lot on Zen meditations and other forms of meditations in the last few weeks, because I'm designing my meditation course. So I was doing a lot of research, and I've been fascinated by different types of meditations. And today I want to introduce to you a very simple form of meditation, which is going to be a Zen meditation. So we will not have the vibration, we will not have a sound, we will sit, and it's going to be very simple. What I love about these meditations also is that I find it is very appropriate for any levels of meditation, if there is such a thing as levels of meditation. And before we start, I've underlined the passage from this book here, which is the Art of Peace. It is by Morihei Ueshiba, who is also the founding father of Aikido. And he wrote this book in a very typical Zen way, with some calligraphy, and each page is like a sentence or a sentence and a half. And to illustrate the meditation that I want us to do today, I've selected a passage from this book that I want us to not think about, but embody during today's meditation. He says, "All things, material and spiritual, originate from one source and are related as if they were one family. The past, present, and future are all contained in the life force. The universe emerged and developed from one source, and we evolved through the optimal process of unification and harmonization." And so this is the passage that we're going to that's going to illustrate the meditation that we're going to do today. And we're going to try to do just that, to harmonize between our past and our future, to harmonize between ups and downs in our lives, to harmonize between our inner world and the outer world, bringing it so that we are just one being. We are everything that is surrounding us. We are part of the entity of life. We've talked about this before. But to use other terms, we are part of being, of simply being. And so the meditation is a place, is a part of your day which is easy and which really lets you embody these principles of presence, of being in the now. And it doesn't matter if you're thinking about the past or thinking about the future, you're always in the now. And so let's start the meditation. We start by sitting and to finding our center, how we sit. Finding our center means that you're not too much forward, you're not too much backwards, you're not left, you're not right, you're perfectly in balance, and you're sitting just easily. And the Zen masters say that meditation is just sitting. You're just sitting with nothing else to do. Why wouldn't you be just sitting? It is very simple. Just sitting. But for us Westerners, just to sit and doing nothing really, which is also doing everything if we think about it, because it is being in contact with our highest self, with this bond, this harmonization that we talked about between our inner lives and our outer lives. And so we just sit, and we may close our eyes if we want to, and we simply let ourselves be. And of course, for us Westerners, it might seem overwhelming sometimes when we just sit and do nothing, especially in these days with this very fast pace of life where we are always looking not only for entertainment, but when we think about it, for distraction. And so we practice meditation simply by sitting and resisting the distractions. And little by little we start to put our focus as gently as possible on our breath. Breathing through the nose without taking control, simply by observing the rhythm of our breath and the dance of our body to that breath, going slightly upwards and then down. And we anchor our presence, our being, our emotions, our thoughts to the breath, as it will be our anchor for today. Think of a ship. You throw the anchor so that the ship doesn't go away, so that it doesn't drift away. And in the same manner, we put our focus on our breath, using it as an anchor, so that our now, our here and now, our presence doesn't drift away. Simply focusing on our breath without changing it, just observing it and accepting it. Accepting the rhythm of our breath is accepting our state of mind, because our mind, our body, our emotions are often or always reflected by the way we breathe. And as we relax more and more, we just notice, without taking any kind of action, that our breath becomes deeper. And as we anchor our thoughts towards it, and we start to calm down it slows down with us. And now what do? Nothing. We just sit in presence to our true nature. Our true nature being in coordination with the outside world, with the environment, with nature, with the universe. And it might sound somewhat esoteric or somewhat spiritual, but it's not. It is very, very real, very pragmatic. It is physical, chemical, biological. We and the energy that we have in our bodies, in our cells, are part, as well as our mindfulness, of a cosmic consciousness, a unification, a harmonization of us, other beings, not just humans, but trees and flowers, and the air. As we sit there on our chair, we realize that we are sitting in emptiness. And as we sit here in meditation, we sit with no purpose. We don't sit in the purpose of feeling better, feeling less anxious, feeling more focused or more concentrated. We don't yearn any result. We just sit. And we breathe. And we observe. We observe being present here and now. Even if we have thoughts of the past, these thoughts happen now. There is only the now. And so, if there is only the now, we are never born and we never die. We are simply here as a part of nature, as a part of energy. We breathe with no purpose. We breathe with no yearning. We get out of this ego-centered selves that we are sometimes. We remove expectations. We remove results. We remove sensations. We are just here, sitting and breathing. Nothing more and nothing less. We just are. And as we are, our our fellow meditators are the trees around us, the beings around us, the water in the sky, thousands of things that are just one suchness. And so we sit and we have a taste of that suchness, for we are just present and breathing simply. We remove the temptations to take control over our breath, over its depth, and over its speed. We remove the temptation to scratch an itch or to move. We're simply there. There is here and now. And this feeling of suchness with all that surrounds us, this feeling of presence, we may have it outside of meditation. And by practicing sitting, by practicing meditation or contemplation, we enhance the quality or ability to be mindful, to be present in all tasks of everyday life. Simple tasks like doing the dishes, and more complex tasks that require more thinking, more calculating. But even in those complex tasks, we feel ourselves present with no past nor future, because there is just now, and no detachment from ourselves to the world, because there is just one. And practicing sitting, next time you have a drink or put food in your mouth, notice how more precious, beautiful, and intense those flavors are. Because when you are fully present, everything becomes sweeter and more beautiful. As you gain clarity, you gain simplicity. You start noticing much more clearly what is necessary and what's not, what is important and what is not important, what is essential and what is non-essential, without judgment, without thinking this is good and this is bad. This just is. If your inner ship is drifting, go back to that anchor. Focus on your breath and observe it objectively, pragmatically, with no judgment or yearning to change anything. To finish off this meditation, I would just like you to count 10 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You may release your focus from your breath. Put your hands to your heart in a praying position. And be willing to share your presence with someone. It can be anybody, somebody that you love, somebody that you don't. As you dedicate this energy and this meditation session to someone. Deep breath in through the nose. And on the exhalation, we project our love, gratitude, and appreciation to that someone. Put your hands back on your knees. You may start moving your body now if you need to. Starting with your neck, left and right, up and down. Take a nice deep breath and open your eyes. Okay, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this meditation. I sure have. So that's that at least. But it feels good, doesn't it? It feels good to meditate in that way also. And I really recommend that you try it at home. That you try it outside of these sessions, first thing in the morning, or just 1 minute here and there. It also really helps just closing your eyes and feeling that presence, that harmonization between your inner self and the world, that notion of suchness, I think is really important. It's beautiful, and it helps us gain perspective. It helps us to gain perspective on events in our lives. It helps us to gain perspective on what we can control and what we cannot control, and where to put our attention on in everyday life. And as I said during the meditation, I like to do these exercises when I cook. I try to cook very simply these days, just with 2 or 3 ingredients maximum. And when I cut a vegetable, that is the only thing that I do. I don't listen to an audiobook or to a podcast or to anything while I do these tasks. These simple tasks are such good opportunities for us to practice this mindfulness. And in the course that I'm writing right now, I give you a set of exercises that go from easy to hardest and to more complicated maybe. And one of my favorite, which I'm currently practicing a lot, is doing the dishes. I find that doing the dishes is a wonderful opportunity for mindfulness because all of your senses are engaged. You can feel the warmth of the water. You can feel the power of the water coming in the sink. You can feel the sensations of the little bubbles from the dishwashing liquid. You can feel the different textures between the sink and maybe the plates or the cutlery and the glasses from different materials, the sponge also. You can have some smells, some vapors of this hot water with soap, the smells of the soap, and so on, and you're fully engaged, and it is a very good and easy exercise to practice complete presence, just being in the now and in that place. Other exercises, of course, when you wash the floor or if you paint. Of course, in Zen they do calligraphy. If you like to draw, this is a wonderful exercise. If you don't know how to draw, that's also a good exercise. You can just take a pen or a paintbrush if you have one, and you can just make some lines on a piece of paper and just follow the line, follow the way that you trace on the piece of paper. And let me know maybe in the comments or in the next couple of days on Twitter or on Instagram or here on the YouTube channel. Let me know what kind of exercises you've chosen, and that'll be our homework, actually. Good idea. For until next week, until next live meditation. Let me know what kind of practices you install in your daily lives to practice mindfulness outside of meditation. Meditation, of course, is a logical one. But outside of meditation, what it is that you do every day to practice being with the suchness and being in full presence. Couple of ideas I've mentioned: cooking, eating, of course, eating very slowly without TV or without any kind of inputs coming to you, and just putting food in your mouth and feeling the flavors in your mouth and feeling the textures, feeling the different temperatures, feeling the spoon or the sticks or the fork that you use, and the movement from the plate to your mouth and so on. This is a very good exercise, of course. And this actually is also really good because being mindful of what you eat, of course, is extremely important for your overall well-being. And for your health, garbage in, garbage out. So mindfulness in, great life out. Going for a walk, especially in nature, if you have access to a park or a little forest, to just walk and feel every step, being really present at every step that you take when you walk, without any music, without any sounds that might disturb you, just listening to the leaves, listening to the birds, listening to the air, and being fully present. Those are a few of the practices that you can try. Or just going up and down the stairs. That's also possible if you're really in a bad lockdown. But yeah, that's it for today. Let me have a look at the chat. If you guys have any questions, then I will stay a few more minutes to answer those questions. And let's see. Is it okay with no headphones, sound coming out of the amplifier? Yeah, sure, of course. But I guess I've answered this a little bit late. Sorry about that. I guess, yeah, it is because we did a different kind of meditation. When we do meditations for transcendence with those vibrations, then I really do recommend that you have headphones, good quality headphones if possible. Lou is here. Good morning. The sound's good. Awesome. Stephanie felt very good. Thank you, Raph. You're very welcome. I'm glad that it felt good. I was hesitating a little bit to do this kind of meditation because it is very simple, but simple can be very complex. And for me, simplicity is real refinement. And as I said, I'm studying to make this course, and so I really wanted to try those new meditations that I'm practicing these days. Matthew, thanks, Raph. Really helped me to relax. It's a stressful time. Yeah, it is. It is, and it is a really good opportunity for us to take these difficult times with grace and with simplicity. And being present will give us clarity that is needed to respond, to put ourselves, to be aware enough that we can put ourselves between that stimulus and the way that we would naturally respond with passion and not with reason, to really step in so that we can react as the highest version of ourselves. Or not react, but act. Act, create, being proactive and not reactive. That's what I mean. Jamil, thank you. Love this new Zen material. Awesome. There's going to be more to come. I also want to do more videos where I'm going to be just talking about a few principles that I'm learning. I'm in no way any kind of master or anything like this, but I do love learning these things and I do love sharing them with you guys. So we're going to do more of that too. MFT, you're very welcome. What's your advice for cultivating a mindful routine if you struggle with being disciplined and inconsistent? I think it's asking for a friend. Yes. Advice for cultivating a mindful routine, I think it's to start with simplicity. To start with simplicity. The way, and for meditation especially, like you wouldn't stress out to know if you would brush your teeth properly. At least I hope you don't stress out every time you brush your teeth. It's the same thing with meditation. So you're just there brushing your brain. This is something that we have to do, especially in the times that we live in with everything, when everything is so fast, when we get so many inputs, when we get so many distractions, where our attention is grabbed here and there. It is really important to do this brain brushing. So just take meditation like this, just sitting and being doing it as simply as possible. And then for the routine, again, make it as simple as possible. If you have, if you want to have, my routine took me years to put on my routine, and it took me years to get some cues for me to do all of the different things that I need to do. And so I've completely simplified it, and I know that as soon as I get up, I sit and I meditate. So the cue here is my alarm ringing, I just get up, and I meditate, and that's the first thing I do. And then I know that I come to my desk, my journal is open, and I do some writing. I do a lot of writing because I feel this is something that I need to be doing. So journaling and it's also cultivating my mindfulness. And then really taking all these opportunities like we talked about, such as, if you're doing the dishes, if you have a dishwasher, we also have a dishwasher, but try to do the dishes by hand. This is a great opportunity for you to put your hands in the water, to feel that water, to feel these smells, these textures, these sounds of the plates clinging, and this is in itself a mindful practice. So start simple and keep it simple. And it's actually start simple, and then the more you grow, the more you start understanding certain of these principles, the simpler it will actually get. I'm a complicated being, I need simplicity. Yes. Well, we can start with the really basic things. Start with the very basic things, such as eating more simple. And I'm French, so eating is a big part of my life, but I try to limit the amount of ingredients that I use, and to not only doing things because it is possible for me to do it, but to reduce. I find to simplify, of course, to reduce clutter in our environment is extremely important. That's the first thing. And then, of course, the clutter in our minds, noticing what happens in our minds, noticing that all the thoughts that we have are in the present, even thoughts of the past and thoughts, yearnings for the future, so that we are able to have this clarity of being. And I think that walking in nature is something that also really helps, especially in these times of pandemic. If you get up really early in the morning and you go to the park next to where you live, you'll have a little bit of time and space and this will help you. Do you have any advice for removing intruding thoughts while meditating? Lately, I have been having an issue with my neck, feeling weirdly vulnerable whilst meditating, no clue why. Well, this could be for any reason. Maybe you can change the position in which you meditate. That's one possibility. But yes, removing intrusive thoughts. You don't want to remove the thoughts. The thoughts are there for a reason. And the thoughts are part of you. They're part of your life. They're part of your past, and they're part of the way that you feel things. So don't remove them. Simply just be more objective towards them. So don't be reactive in an emotional way when you have this, maybe a negative thought or a thought that you might think is negative, but usually negative thoughts are the best thoughts you can have, because they're the thoughts that allow you to practice your philosophy and to react in such a way that you create courage. Courage comes from the word heart, so you act with your heart, and this in its turn creates self-confidence, because confidence means deep trust. And the way that you react to those thoughts creates trust in yourself that you can react in an appropriate and in a virtuous way towards all these situations. So don't try to get rid of these negative thoughts. Just simply put them on the side during meditation. And then if you need to deal with them after meditation, then you can journal about it, you can make a plan, you can find a solution, you can decide what is the best way to use this thought. There are no negative thoughts, there are just thoughts. And remember that thoughts are simply thoughts. They're simply events. There might be events that happen inside of yourself, inside of your head, inside of your mind, but they are just events. So just learn to step in, and meditation helps for that also, so that you're able to respond in the way that you would like to as your higher self with your full potential. I'm so scatterbrained and I stretch myself thin. I will work at simplicity. Yeah, reduce things, reduce events. Think of what is essential for me right now. What is the most important thing to do? First things first, and second thing, never. Reduce the amount of, I've been doing this a lot, reducing the amount of meetings, reducing the amount of times that I say yes to to clients or to social events. Of course, social events these days, they're online, so it's even easier. But learn to say no, to set boundaries, to protect your time, to protect your presence, and to protect your distractions. To protect your distractions in the sense of like to protect the way you react to distractions. I love croissant. Well, yes, me too. And it is not a weakness; it is a power. You're very welcome, Death by Custard. Where are you from, Death by Custard? I guess you're maybe an English friend. But that's it. I think that will be all for today. I've planned a few episodes, and if you want, I can give you the schedule, the calendar, because there will be more meditations and we will be talking more about these mindfulness things. Next Sunday, for sure, we're going to talk about this again, and we will try either something new or we'll try this again. But what's coming on the channel next? First of all, I've updated my podcast. This is really important. Why is it so important? Because it's a cool place for you to listen to these meditations. We can't do lives on podcasts for some reason yet, but it's a good opportunity for you to listen to these meditations and to these talks without the distraction of the screen. And so I think it's pretty cool, and I think you can put on most podcasting platforms, you can put them offline, so when you turn off the internet, you can also have a good meditation with the podcast. So I've been updating this. You can go on www.raphaelreiter.com/podcast, and you'll have the link to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and these things. So on the schedule for YouTube, though, on Tuesday the 30th, we have an episode on how to make time for the big questions of life. I think this is a really important subject. On April the 1st, we have an episode on how magic happens within ourselves. We're going to talk about Stoic philosophy. We're going to be talking about Marcus Aurelius. And this helps actually for a lot of the questions that you guys were asking now on your power being already inside of you. So if you want to simplify, if you want to be more mindful, you have the choice to do that. And specifically on that, on the 6th of April, we have a talk about, the subject is the courage to eliminate the non-essential. So this is something that is on subject for today. On the 13th of April, we're going to be talking about how to live by design and not by default. And we're going to do some exercises reflecting on our own mortality, which is a Stoic approach to life, a Stoic philosophy approach. And I find it extremely useful and powerful and enlightening, because by really focusing on the fact that we are mortals, life becomes more and more precious, and everything comes together with the Zen philosophy, the Stoic philosophy. It all comes to being present, being grateful for the moment that we have. We're also going to discuss what is compassion. This is going to be an episode on April 20th. I think it's really important because some people actually have too much compassion, and this affects them emotionally. And so we're going to be talking about this. I'm a life coach, and so part of my job, of course, is to listening to other people's problems and being over compassionate. Compassion means with passion, to suffer with. And so, it can become overwhelming, but not just for coaches or psychotherapists, but also for friends and family members. So this is something we're going to be talking about on April 20th. On April 27th, we're going to talk about productivity, Zen productivity, I like to call it. And we're going to, I think it's really important. I know this is not a productivity channel, but productivity is the ability to do what's important now. What's important now, to do less. This is what productivity is. For a lot of people, productivity is to be able to do more, faster, and cheaper for businesses. But for me, productivity is the ability to do less, but of what's more important, with the concept of less is more. We're going to be talking about essentialism and a minimalistic approach to productivity. And so that's it for what's planned. And in the middle, we'll do different kinds of meditations. We will do some vibrational meditations. I will answer a lot of the questions that I've received concerning transcendental meditation. We will do breathing meditations, and we will do a new challenge. And from the votes, actually, I need to check what you guys voted on, because I made a little poll for the new challenge. And there was the possibility for 10 days meditation challenge for self-love, got 30%. 10 days meditation challenge for self-confidence, got 22% of the votes. For courage, 10% of the votes. And for focus, 37%. So we are going to start with 10 days meditation challenge for focus. I'll let you know exactly when we're going to start, how we're going to do things. But this is the first thing the first mini challenges. I think 30 days is too much, so 10 days should be good. And awesome. Do you have any books you recommend on meditation? Thanks always for your support and guidance. On meditation specifically, yes and no. I like all the books by Alan Watts. One that I finished recently is What is Zen? He also wrote What is Tao? He also wrote The Way of Zen. All these books by Alan Watts on Zen Buddhism specifically are extremely interesting for me. I really appreciate them. And the Art of Peace. I think The Art of Peace is a great book. Maybe it's not on meditation specifically, but implicitly. And so this is also a great book. I have many books here. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Again, it's not about meditation specifically, but about mindfulness and the ability to be present in the here and now. So that's a great book to read. I have read most of the books published on transcendental meditation. but I don't really recommend them, although we will talk about them. What first book would you recommend on Stoicism? I would definitely recommend The Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And it's fascinating. First of all, it's not a book that he wanted to write, it was his personal journal, so that's really interesting. Second of all, he was the emperor of Rome. He was the most powerful man in the world, and yet, with his philosophy, uh, yeah, it's amazing. Read it. What I love about it also is little passages, and every single passages is something to ponder on. So it's not a book that you would read every page, but every page at once. But it's a great book. The Meditations, the Enchiridion by Epictetus. Enchiridion actually means the handbook, and it is the handbook of Stoicism, which is amazing. So I would check that by Epictetus, and then of course Seneca. Seneca on the shortness of life is a beautiful book that talks precisely about how not only life but how all things are finite, but specifically life also, and so reflect on death to appreciate the time that you have now and know that everything can be taken away. And as Seneca used to say, nothing should ever be unexpected by us, which means that, in the mornings, or when you start something new, you realize that there will be obstacles, and then you can make a plan for these obstacles. More modern books on Stoicism. Of course, all the books by Ryan Holiday, The Ego is the Enemy, The Obstacle is the Way. Those are great books. The Daily Stoic is a really cool book because every day you have a little passage and you can journal on it and things like this. So that's also a really great book. But I would start by the basics. I would start with Meditations and Enchiridion and maybe On the Shortness of Life by Seneca. Those are the three that I would start right now. And that's about it. There's also on Stoicism, which is not directly Stoicism, but Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl wrote the book. Forgot the title. Viktor Frankl. Oh my God, I don't. I have to look it up. I'm sorry. I'll send you a message. But Viktor Frankl is someone that survived the concentration camps, and then he wrote about it a lot, of course. On the meaning of life? No, on the... Oh, I have to look it up. But anyway, it's a beautiful book because he talks about his experience in the concentration camps, and something that is very stoic is he would say, he would think, he would feel, they can take my body away, they can try to take my dignity, they can beat me up physically, but what they can't do is to take my last freedom. And his last freedom, he explains, is his ability to choose how to respond to these events. Now, it is, it's something that the Stoics talked about 2,000 years ago, of course. But in that scenario, when you can imagine him being in a death camp and really embodying this philosophy of not being affected by but what was happening to him and to his body, by keeping grip on his last freedom, his ability to choose, his ability to react in the way that he finds most appropriate to that situation. This is something that he says saved him, and it's a beautiful thing to think about. Also gives us an enormous amount of perspective on our lives and on our problems, especially these days with everything that's going on around us. It's a beautiful book to read. Man's Search for Meaning. That's exactly it. Thank you, Stephanie. Man's Search for Meaning. A beautiful book. I absolutely recommend it. As I said, it's not a Stoicism book, but it's all there in my opinion. Okay, guys, I think that's it. Tomorrow, what's happening tomorrow? I don't think anything much is happening tomorrow. I will post more meditations on the channel very soon. And that's it. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate. You can go on my website and send me an email from there, raphaelreiter.com. Check out the podcast. I think it's a really cool resource because it allows you to listen to all these things without having the screens and the distractions of the screens. Although please stay on YouTube. I need you here. And I also started writing on Medium. Medium is a blog platform. So my account is raphaelreiter.medium.com, I guess. And I've been writing quite a lot on there. So have a check if you want to. And again, if you have any questions, you can find me on Instagram at raphael.reiter, on Twitter at Raphael Reiter. I'm not so often there, but I do check. I have 1 hour a day where I check all my messages. So I try to read everything and I try to respond as much as I can. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. I'm honored to be part of your journeys and to be a part of, to be able to share these meditations and these little nuggets of wisdom with you. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.